I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
Well, hello everyone out there in podcast land. This is the Beyond the Mouse podcast, the podcast of all things Disney for the Front Row Network. My name is Craig, and I'm joined by so many wonderful people tonight. The first I'm going to introduce one of my co-hosts, Mr. Brett Rutherford.
Oh, hi.
I'm also joined by Vanessa Ferguson, the other co-host of Beyond the Mouse.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest. We have my wife, Anna, joining us as well.
Hi.
So what we're going to do today is we suddenly have found a lot of free time around the house. So we are going to talk a bit about streaming in Disney Plus. Now, we did do a Disney Plus preview show back in November, right before Disney Plus came out. Vanessa hasn't watched a single thing yet because all of the shows she previewed, none of those have actually aired yet. And so I needed to get that bit of a jab in when I could. Mm-hmm. But what I will say is that now we've had the streaming service for a few months. We're actually talking about the need to go back and revisit Disney Plus. This has just given us the time to do so. A bit of an update on one of the things that we did mention in a couple of the episodes ago. Of course, we had planned a trip to the world here in April, and that's not happening anymore. So we will get back there at some point in time, but just stay safe out there, everybody. You know, this is all scary and somewhat anxious time, and so just stay safe. And that's why it was so nice to have this podcast to come back to and just talk about Disney and just forget about that stuff for a few minutes. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to dive right in and talk Disney Plus. We're going to go around and just talk about some of the shows that we've been watching, some of the ones that we enjoyed, even going all the way back to November 12th on the launch day. It's hard to believe that Disney Plus has been in our lives for about 6 months now, and it's just great content all around. So we're going to start actually with Vanessa, because I know you brought your notes.
Yes. Well, the first thing that I've been looking forward to watching, I'm almost done watching, is Big Business. It's such a great film. I'd like all of you to watch it. I don't know if anyone's ever told you how great it is, but you really should watch it. It's so good. No one's ever told me about it before, so I just wanted to make sure I was the first person to suggest that movie. And it stars Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin.
Oh my gosh.
Brett is dying.
I am, oh my gosh, I'm crying. I'm crying and I have goosebumps. It's all of the feels. You made my day, Vanessa.
Oh, whatever. I told Brett before we started this, I go, I'm going to steal something from you. You don't know what it is, but I'm going to steal something from you.
I'm so happy. You really
And you did it in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah. I was like, I got to get it in before he says, because I know that's on his list.
I haven't seen it yet. I was waiting to watch it together.
Oh, well.
Sorry. Well, that's not going to happen, but at least one of you did. Oh, Craig, that means you have a film to watch, don't you?
Oh,
yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right after, well, you know what? You have done a good job of all the films that you hadn't watched yet that I told you that you should really go back and revisit. You've done that. All except
I have.
Have you actually seen The Rocketeer?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah. It looks like you have something to watch too.
I'm like going,
but actually, I gotta say, tangent. This actually wasn't on my list, but The Rocketeer is an amazing film. But it's particularly great in the spring. For whatever reason, that film, it's not set necessarily in the spring. I don't even know when it really is set, but it is just for whatever reason, the score, I think the James Horner score, it just puts me in the mood for like better weather.
Spring.
Oh, it's just so great. It's really life-altering stuff. Absolutely. So
Well,
Big Business is your first draw.
Life-altering is Inside Out.
Yeah. So just to go back to Big Business, because it really is a good film. I'd like a few minutes left of the ending, but it is, I know, I was watching it while I was getting ready for this, Brett. It's really good, and it's funny, and it's classic 80s and style, and it is a good movie. I'm glad Brett suggested it, because I may not have watched it Well, if I saw Bette Midler, I would have, but I made a point to watch it, and thank you, Brett, for making the suggestion.
Oh,
you're absolutely very welcome. You have made my day.
Oh,
You
wow.
made my week.
I was kind of
made
hoping
my
to make
year.
you mad, so this really wasn't what I was going for, but I'll take it.
So Brett.
like turkey legs. Anyway, go ahead.
So let's go over to you, Brett.
Me?
What of Vanessa's loves have you stolen?
No, I don't. I do not know. As well as I know her, I do not know her Disney loves. And the World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Oh,
have you loved that?
Mr. Water Rippler himself.
I'm like going. Well, anyway, let's see. What have I seen? What was the question? Sorry.
Well,
sorry.
What have you watched, or what are you watching on Disney Plus? This is the Beyond the Mouse podcast. I don't know if you've ever heard of us before, but we're happy to have you.
Thank you. Sorry. We've already talked about that, so I'm not gonna.
There's the list.
You have so many. You have so many on the list.
Pick one, man. You've got a list of 57.
Okay, for all of our listeners out there, I really do care. So here we go. I'd say Disney through the decades. It's kind of I don't know if we're going to get into hints and tips for the searching part of Disney Plus, but it's a great way to find Disney through the decades. And in those times, let's see, during our Oscar episode, we talked about some of the silly symphonies, so I very much enjoyed those. Cartoon, the Mater films.
Those are so good.
I enjoyed those. Let's see. The other things, the extras. In preparation for today, you wouldn't think that I'm prepared, but I am. I have notes. There were, oh my gosh, there were some wonderful things. Okay, in Waking Sleeping Beauty, which I suggest you see. I had already seen it before, but there were extras. So there's like the recording of Part of Your World with Howard Ashman giving notes to Ariel, who is Jodie Benson. Thank you. And I mean, she's so young, and she's, she starts off and she's giving like a theater performance, and then he's, toning her down. So it's just amazing. That was amazing. And then the other part of Waking Sleeping Beauty, these are parts that were not in the film, but there was the Losing Howard Ashman, which was just really, really tender and wonderful. I watched some extras from Saving Mr. Banks, which, and this is just amazing. You've got to watch this. It's Walt Disney Studios from Poppins to the present, and it takes you to the Disney lot and talks to the Robert Sherman.
Richard.
One who's left. Richard, thank you.
Yeah, Robert passed away, I believe.
Yeah, so that it was just so I'm really enjoying the extras to so many of the films, the classic ones, the newer ones, all of those. So that's where I'll start. The Lamp Life, the Bo Peep story, very cool. Anyway, and I could go on
for doing the whole episode for us.
That was a long list there, Tom.
You're welcome. I haven't even begun.
That was very
Sparky. Ask the question.
So Brett is going to do 15 to our 1 because he's been living on Disney Plus. So Anna, why don't you go next?
Yeah, mine is I just recently, just this weekend, watched Stargirl, and I thought it was a really good picture. I really enjoyed it. It felt almost like the sorry, my cat's about to attack me. He's pretty excited about Stargirl too.
I don't know if you noticed the earthquake. That was the cat jumping up on the table.
But no, Stargirl was really good. It almost felt like one of those like early 2000s, late 90s Disney Channel original movies. Like it had that kind of feel to it. And it just was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was, I think it's one that all people in your family would really enjoy. Parts were kind of slow, but again, it had that feel of like that magic of like those old Disney Channel original movies. I just really enjoyed it. It was a fun one.
Suddenly, that darn cat comes to mind. Is that available on Disney Plus? Anyway.
I bet it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
No, that's a really good point, Anna, because I didn't know if I guess maybe that's what they're modeling some of these films that will come out as kind of a little bit of a higher quality, because I think they have a little bit larger budget nowadays of those DCOM, the Disney Channel original movies, and you can still find all of those old DCOMs on there too. I mean, I have not went back and watched Brink yet, only because I'm so scared it's not going to hold up. Because I loved that movie as a kid.
Mine is Wish Upon a Star. I love Wish Upon a Star. It's just so fun. It kind of felt like that, where it has like that magic, and it was just great. I enjoyed it.
So Stargirl is pretty new.
Twitches.
It came out this past weekend, so definitely go check out Stargirl. It's probably on the top of the Disney Plus thing. This is me showing you the top that goes by. Something else that's on the top almost all the time and has been for a very long time. I am so happy to finally talk about The Mandalorian on a podcast. It was just an incredible series, and I'm going to go back and rewatch it because one of the things I was doing with it that was kind of like, I don't necessarily get my TV watching time is a little different. It's a little weird because generally when Anna and I have put our son to bed, we are watching more things on YouTube and stuff like that. We don't necessarily watch series. And so I was watching The Mandalorian at like 6 a.m. So I definitely want to go back and rewatch it. There were a couple of episodes, I think, that drug just a little bit kind of in the middle, sort of that 4 or 5, episode 4 and 5 range. But man, the payoff of that show towards the end and setting it up for this world outside of the Skywalker saga, outside of the Star Wars universe and mythos that we're used to, and just some incredible things that come out of that show, including and not limited to the child, otherwise known as Baby Yoda, who just took over life for a while here, and talk about such a risky move. The reason why none of us have official Baby Yoda merchandise is because Jon Favreau didn't want to spoil that in the film or in the series, and so I can't believe Disney allowed this. They allowed him to not spoil that to where they could make the products in advance, and so I think that's why it had such a huge impact. Because at the end of that first episode, where he's talking about going on a bounty to get a 50-year-old, you're like, oh, I wonder who this is going to be. I wonder if it's going to be tied into the universe. And then all of a sudden you see this child, remembering that Yoda was hundreds of years old. So, of course, maybe he was 50 years old and still a child, that kind of a thing. So just a really cool series. I think that they give a lot of leniency to the directors to have kind of their own spin and own vision within the story. I can go on and talk days about The Mandalorian, but if you have not seen it yet, it is a really great series. We do know that it's returning in October. So season 2 will come back in October of this year. Of course, that could change because I should mention, like, production just about everywhere is shut down. So could change a little bit, but tentatively scheduled for October.
I really like that episode with Bill Burr. And that episode alone felt like its own little movie. And it was very like Fourth Element, kind of like Total Recall-ish. It was just, I just thought that was really cool. Like, so even if you're like, you miss an episode or one episode drags on, other ones can feel like little films in themselves. So yeah, I really like The Mandalorian.
And I would say even, and I can't really, I guess maybe I can't say this because I'm such a Star Wars fan, but I think it's an easily accessible series where if you're not super into Star Wars, that's fine. It's a well-written series. It's almost written as like a Western in a way, kind of a serialized Western. And I don't think you have to be a huge Star Wars fan to dig it. So definitely check that one out. So we'll go in kind of a snake draft order because I know how much I know how much Brett loves snake draft. So we're going to go back to Anna, and Anna's going to give her second pick, and then Brett will give his 45th.
All right, well, so the other series that I really delved into was Encore. I loved Encore.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
And like, I will say, like, when I first started watching it, I was worried that they would be unkind, kind of like if you're seeing American Idol and they're pretty harsh on the people that are performing. It wasn't like that at all. It was super encouraging. It was encouraging people to like get back into the arts if it's something that you haven't done for a while. It was encouraging people to like, you know what, just dive right in. If you want to be in a musical and you haven't for a while, just do it. Don't be afraid. And I thought that was amazing. So I loved Encore. Like seeing all the musicals too was fun, and it takes a lot of work to do what they did. So kudos to them for encouraging the arts
in a
and
week.
doing all that they did in a week.
It's like a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, that is every theater person has that nightmare where they have to do a show in like a short amount of time. And it's so nerve-wracking to watch it.
Though.
But it's so good.
It's so good. And so, yeah, it was neat. And for those that haven't watched it, the premise is they have high school performances that did the musical in their high school. They all get back together now as adults, and they put on the show in a week, 5 days, and it's amazing.
And how was that one episode where the lady was like, oh my God, what did she say? Craig, you know what I'm talking about. The one where she's like, I have to get this part. This is my only chance. And I was like,
there were 2 episodes. Yeah. There were 2 episodes where someone challenged the lead. And I hope that people that now will be in like season 2 and subsequent seasons of the show will realize that just makes you look awful.
Because how it works is right now when you go, you just get the part that you had in high school. Like they still have you sing and can kind of see what they're working with. But when you go, you're going with the assumption that you're going to be the same part that you played and to see how you've grown as a person and what it means now versus what it means then. But they've had a couple people on this show that are like, no, I want to be the lead this time.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It's
fascinating.
Awful.
Just horrible. I by the way, I was standing up over there because I wanted to show off my cardigan for all you home.
Very nice.
So nice.
Mickey Mouse.
It's very impressive.
Cardigan.
It's very
love it.
And you know, I wasn't necessarily going to get it, but then it was the 2 of you that told me I needed to have it.
Do it.
Thank you.
I mean, come on. If you're going to ask us, we're just going to be like, do it.
People have bought cars when they're with me. I'm like going, so yeah, I'm going to say yeah.
Brett, what else have you been watching?
Well, why don't we just go there? Forky asks a question.
Oh,
Charming. Favorite episodes so far. What is a pet?
What is the pet?
What is cheese? Which was big. Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
That was like, well, I think the toys are getting slightly annoyed with what is this? What is that? What is this? So the unicorn toy was going to answer all of Forky's questions in one episode, and ending up with what is cheese. And he found out. He found it was delicious. He is a spork. They called him a spork or a foon. Anyway, so
nice.
And then the other one was what is a leader? And that was Bonnie Hunt was the voice of Dolly, who is head of the toys apparently in that land. And what I found amazing. Okay, so I'm a digital artist person, and then I watch Pixar, and I kind of go, I pretend to be a digital artist. So, but what was so amazing was in Dolly. So she has this fabric face, and so you're watching the animation of polyester. It's just amazing watching her mouth move and all that. So again, the quality of all of the shows, especially when I was revisiting some of them today, I'm just like going, this is amazing, and this is available to us all the time now. So I'm very happy to be a Disney Plus subscriber.
Yeah. Are we all Founders Circle? I think we are, except for Vanessa, right? Or did you? Oh, sorry.
No.
I didn't mean to offend you.
I'm in Founders Circle.
But we're paid in.
Oh, you are?
I am the Founders
I was
Circle.
there and I'm not? What's Founders?
Wait, Brett,
I
you're
did
not a
do the-
Founders Circle?
No, I didn't do
Seriously?
the D23 thing. Seriously,
Why not?
I didn't need a button.
I didn't get no button. Where's my button?
No, they
I
had
know, we
I
buttons.
just got a big
We just
debt on
gave
my
them like
credit card.
$140 or something, but it was.
They had they had buttons at D23 Expo.
Oh.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, so it was a big thing. But yeah, so why not? Oh.
All right, so
Mountain Dew. Mhm.
let's go to Vanessa.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys are into this, and I think it's been around before Disney Plus, but now you can watch all the episodes. Fairytale Wedding.
Yes.
Isn't it so good? I mean, first of all, it's just cool to have them shoot it in parts of the park and not have a tremendous amount of people there, just so you can see what they can do with like Epcot and of course the Magic Kingdom in front of the castle. But I really like the one where they were in like the Chinese pavilion of Epcot. I just thought it looked so cool. I don't know. I just love that show, and it's a little cheesy. I mean, it is, but it's just fun to see people having a good time at getting to. It's like you're living through them. You're enjoying the parks. You're enjoying the cruise line all through their eyes, and it's. Of course, they're having the best day of their lives. So I really like that show.
I love that.
It's good.
It's great.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that that by making the appearance on the show, that part of the cost of their Disney Fairytale Wedding is underwritten. That would make it. Would you like to be on our show and we'll underwrite some of your? Yes. So.
I looked it up because we were watching it, and I was like, I wonder how much these weddings are. And the venue, they actually, I don't think that they overcharge for the venue. It's the food, it's the catering. So we were looking, and like, of course, if you want to do it in front of the castle, that's like $30,000. Like that makes sense. But like, if you
not bad.
do it at the like China Pavilion,
reasonable.
like the one couple did, I think it was only like, it was only like $2,000 to do it at the China Pavilion. But then the catering is like $189 per person. So like that's where they get you.
The thing though is like if you went to a fancy gala, I mean in Springfield, Illinois, so okay, keep that in mind. I'm using small town metrics. They would probably be about $100 to $150, and this is like a fancy gala ticket, but in Disney World. So I mean, it seems reasonable-ish.
Okay, so here's what I was thinking when we were watching this, because we watched a lot of the episodes in the last month or so. I completely understand the people that want to get married there, because like we get it. We're in that crowd. Like we love Disney. Totally understand that. The people that are their bridesmaids and groomsmen, I get those as well, because those are very good friends. But the people attending the wedding that has to happen at 4:30 in the morning in Magic Kingdom or at midnight on Main Street, what are they thinking about when they get this wedding invite? The person, just the general, like Uncle Bob, who's coming to this wedding. What does Uncle Bob think about this?
Well, interesting. I thought that too on one of the episodes I saw where they were in front of the castle, and I looked at the crowd size, and they really didn't have that many in attendance. So I'm thinking the people who really wanted to be there were there, because I'm that friend that won't come to your wedding if it's going to cost me a lot of money. I'm going to peace out. Unless you go to Disney, then I'll be there. It's totally worth it.
And then you see the episode, or at least we saw the episode recently of Alani, a Disney resort and spa, whatever that full name is that they always have to say. And that wedding had a ton of people there. And I was like,
yeah,
what are you doing? Like, how did you get all these people here?
It was a local wedding.
Very, very loved.
I think it was a local wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I guess I'll get to go. And I can't believe we've talked about this show. This is a little bit of a cheating moment, because we've talked about this show on the show and how much I loved it, how much all of us loved it. But the Imagineering story, it's so cool to see if you aren't necessarily into, like, if you've always grown up watching the Disney films and you haven't really necessarily ventured into the Disney parks, this is such a cool and fascinating look at that. It's a 6-part. They're all about an hour long each. It's actually directed by the granddaughter of Iwerks, And of course, Iwerks is the person that really drew Mickey for the first time and developed Mickey Mouse with Walt Disney. And so it's really cool because, sometimes Disney gets criticized for not allowing themselves to take criticism. Like during Saving Mr. Banks, wonderful performance by Tom Hanks. People criticized it that it wasn't real enough, right? That it didn't criticize Disney enough for whatever that's worth. But this is really a very real look at how these parks were developed. It talks about the original idea for Disney's California Adventure in California and how it really was not a great park. And it talks about Euro Disney and how that was kind of a failure. Now, granted, both of those were open under Michael Eisner, and at the time, Bob Iger was the CEO of the company. So maybe if it was Bob Iger's mistakes, maybe they would have. But no,
Bob Iger doesn't make mistakes.
That's right, he doesn't, except for putting Bob Chapek in charge of the company. But no, I think it's a really cool look at how things develop and kind of the history of all of the parks. And it gave me such a greater appreciation for them. It's so well done. Check it out for sure. So now we are back to Vanessa.
Okay, I'm going to say it. Everyone's watching it. Frozen 2. We get to see it. Kind of early.
Cool.
It felt early.
A lot of people, what a cool thing that Disney did right away at the start of this whole thing that's going on. And like they didn't wait on it. Like it just kind of, and I understand that every move is also good public relations, but it's the fact that they did it. It's the fact that they said, we could have 3 more months of digital sales. This wasn't supposed to come out until July, or not July, I'm sorry, but like June timeframe. And it wasn't going to be streaming until then. That's a lot of revenue of people buying the digital copy that they're not going to get anymore. And so they said, well, we know that schools are getting closed down. We know that parents are going to be looking for something to watch. And here, we're going to put Frozen 2, Yeah,
so. But I've already seen some parents who are like, I've had this on nonstop since it was released. Thanks a lot. But it was still it's something new, and they're releasing Onward early. So, I think this is pretty exciting that we don't have to wait so long, and they are, like you said, giving up revenue just to help us out in this time of, much needed content.
Now, Onward is really interesting. I want to get your opinions on this. So Onward was only in the theaters we went to go see it at the beginning of March. And even though the beginning of March seems like 3.5 years ago, it really has only been like 20 days. And so, of course, the box office, all theaters are shut down at the moment. And so they weren't going to be generating any revenue from it there. So they took it off. And they went ahead, and it's right now at this moment on March 24th, it is available for purchase on any digital platform. And then it'll be available on Disney Plus on April 3rd. I mean, that's a huge turnaround. And again, that's another one of those things where, yes, Disney does get some applause from the public relations side, but I think people think too cynically about that. Like, this is obviously them saying, yes, we're not necessarily going to make this money in the box office, but we do know that it allows for content to go on our streaming services that families are desperate for at the moment. And it's cool because I think we talked about this. The marketing of Onward wasn't as robust as some of the other Pixar films. I think this is going to make it to where so many more people see that film than would have seen it. And because it's going to be one of those things where April 3rd is going to get here, schools for the most part are still going to be shut down, and so many people are going to watch that story, and it's a beautiful story. I mean, we just gushed about it on our full disclosure, so go back and check it out. But any thoughts on that, either of you?
I will say this. I've seen a lot of Disney Plus advertising lately. Now, that could just be my own search history, because hello. But, but I was wondering, are they really pushing this right now because they know that's where their sales are going to be? And that's another good reason to put out Onward. But I know I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to watching it again, and I'm sure lots of families are as well.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it too, but I don't know if I can use cloth tissue instead of Kleenex, because everything that's tissue related is rather at a premium right now. So
Right.
That's one I have not seen yet. I know my son was really into it and we started watching it the other day, and then, stuff was going around the house, so I didn't get back to the movie that day, but I really want to see it soon. It looks like a good one.
But thoughts on like Frozen 2 being released early, Onward being released early? What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's a smart move on their part. I think, just looking back at some of our classic movies that have been on TV during times when people are home together, like Wizard of Oz over Thanksgiving, and it seems to work for a lot of people to have that be a success. So I think that that's a smart move on their part. And it is good for public relations. I think it's a win-win for them just to do that.
And then this is tangent-y, but you know me. So Mulan was pushed, but we were supposed to be seeing Mulan this upcoming weekend. And so my question to you is, if Disney said, and they're not going to do this because Mulan's going to make $1 billion, and Onward, they were in a tricky position. It was already released. It's really hard to pull it from the theater, re-release it after all this is done, all of that. Mulan, they're going to just tuck in their pocket until all this is over. But if they were to release it on a streaming platform, what is the dollar amount you would pay to rent it for like a one-time viewing on a streaming platform?
Well, actually, I did this. This is a non-Disney, I believe. I think anyway. I rented Emma last weekend, which was a non-traditional release. It was already in the theaters. Again, sort of like Onward was, and I paid $19.99 for 48 hours of viewing. I watched it once, but I felt it was very much worth it. So, to answer your question, Craig, $9.99.
Okay, thank you. Vanessa?
Gosh, I really want to see Mulan. I would prefer around $10, but realistically, I might be able to be persuaded to pay more because I do really want to see that movie.
I think $20 makes sense to those like rentals and things like that. And this is kind of uncharted territory because Universal is the one that put out Emma, and they put out Invisible Man, and Bloodshot just came out, I think, as well.
What is it? No, Trolls? Was it the new Trolls?
Trolls is coming out in April. Yeah, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to go ahead and just forego a theatrical release for Trolls and rent it for $20. So if you think about it, though, we pay $20 to sit in a movie theater with, if you bring another person along with you. So yeah, we'll see if it works. I mean, this might be kind of, it's like a weird test pilot for whether or not that can be a feasible strategy moving forward. So
I'm not paying anything to see Trolls. No way, Jose. Not happening.
They couldn't pay me to see Trolls.
No, man.
Oh, gosh. No, I am not the intended audience demographic for that anyway.
Well, anyway, no more tangents. Okay, Brett.
Thank you.
We'll go to Brett.
Hi.
Brett.
Oh, my turn again?
Yeah, please list the next 385 items you've seen.
I kind of see where we are now, so I was just very excited again. I didn't know. Anyway.
Carla will
Disney
be
Insider.
So mad that I'm giving you a hard time.
Oh, well, hi, Carla. Hi, Dan. So,
stop being at the Fox to tell me how much she loved you.
Anyway. Duh.
After I broke into her house during D23 Expo. No, I did not break into her house. I was authorized to stay there. Okay, and thank you again. Thank you. She listened to this, so what am I saying? Thank you, Carla. You're the best all around. Okay. Disney Insider. As I go into another thing. Disney Insider is new. I think it just premiered this past weekend or something like that. And it's a weekly series.
I didn't know it was weekly.
I know.
Is that the Katy Perry one?
Mm-hmm. Yes, nice. It was Katy Perry. And it was the Star
Girl.
Mm-hmm. And It was
Onward.
the producer and writer for Onward. And so good. It was so good. Well, anyway, I'm not reading this, Vanessa. Tune in each week as the series takes behind the movies, theme parks, destinations, music, toys, and more.
Ooh.
I didn't read that.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so each week we can do that. The first episode was so cool. And you just get a little glimpse of the Katy Perry, who is from the OC, Orange County. Isn't she? She's from Anaheim, isn't she? Or she's from the OC? She is from, I think, that area. So that was fun. It was so good. It was like 15 minutes long, but it was of such great quality that I'm like going, it felt longer, but was just the right amount of time. It was so good. I so enjoyed it. I was first writing the notes and I'm like going, to be seen. And then I'm like going this afternoon, I'm like going, well, let's just watch some of these things. So yeah, Disney Insider was very cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it's great that it's a weekly series. I didn't know it was weekly, so that's awesome. We get it every week.
So,
that's great. Anna?
I really liked watching Steamboat Willie.
Oh.
I hadn't seen it before,
Nice.
and it's, classic, iconic. So we watched it with my son. I hadn't seen it, and we loved it. He still wants to watch it. He doesn't really know what the name of it is, but I'll say, the one with the music player, they crank it, like he knows everything that's happening. So it was really neat. I thought it was great to be able to see something like that now that maybe you wouldn't normally be able to see.
Yeah, it's so true. Like you get to see, like we went back, he loves the Beanstalk with the Giants. So we got to go see Fun and Fancy Free and, all these old Disney movies. And that really ties into a lot of what I've been watching a ton of on Disney Plus, because we've been going back and watching all of the Disney animated classics. And I kind of like in my mind had this goal of going ahead and watching all 68, 70 of them or whatever. And at first I was like, that's a lot. But I think it was Brett that brought up that they're only like an hour and 10 minutes each. So some of the older ones. So you can get through a bunch of them in a pretty short amount of time. But it's neat that they have the whole, basically the whole vault is open at this point. They have said in the future that they might take some of those old animated classics off the platform for a while. However, this is something cool that I think Disney Plus does that they should get a little bit of credit for, because it's different than the other streaming services. If you download the movie and you keep your current subscription, then you get to keep that movie. It doesn't leave your download. So, for instance, if you do that on Netflix, you only get it for 30 days and then it comes off. And that's probably because Netflix doesn't necessarily own all the licenses. This is Disney putting on Disney content, so they have a little bit more flexibility with it. But I thought that was cool. And I mean, like you could in theoretically, you could like grab an old tablet or iPad and just like download every old Disney animated classic and just have those like forever, as long as you have Disney Plus. So just something really unique and neat, I think, about Disney. So I'll also throw in a second one, because that was kind of a halfway one. But it's just really cool to see all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe again, and to be able to watch those kind of from start to finish. I have a friend on Facebook who's watching them for the first time. So it's just neat to be able to see those films kind of outside of the original theatrical release. I'm one of these people that hardly go back and watch movies again. And so it's interesting that there's some films that I haven't seen before in a long time. Like for instance, I watched all the Star Wars movies. I hadn't really seen the prequels since I was in the theaters. But I did go back and watch those again, and had a bit of a different appreciation for them than I would have before. So it's just a cool platform to have so many movies out there on there too. Do we want to do? Oh, go ahead.
You were talking about the classics. The thing that I enjoyed so much was the quality of the digital transfer. Because the first day I watched, a number of things, but I watched Snow White and Sleeping Beauty again. And it was like watching it for the first time because of the color and just because of the quality. Because I'm like going, because by the time, you know, we've watched those either in the theaters and re-releases, those of us who have had that opportunity, and then or watch them, you know, the quality is, well, it's not digital, and then so they're remastered. So the care that went into that transfer is just to be applauded.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible. Actually, I've seen a lot of people online particularly comment on the like nostalgia films as well. It's great that Disney has that like row on the homepage that is nostalgia films. And one of them in particular that people are saying it just looks stunning is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And I haven't watched that movie in a long time. So that's one of those that I really want to go back and revisit because they said digitally remastered is just beautiful. I've heard the same thing about Swiss Family Robinson and like some of those older classics as well. Those live action classics from the 50s, 60s, 70s that just look stunning on Disney Plus, which is really cool that they put in the time and investment to do that as well. So now I'm going to open it up as a kind of a lightning round, throw out there anything else that you have. Brett, you can list off 65 items if you want, totally up to you. But anybody have anything else? Vanessa, you got something else you want to mention?
I am enjoying going back and watching Coco. And I want to bring that up because our friend Jaime knows how to play Coco Loco, but he won't give the people what they want. So this is a recorded call out. Release the footage. We want to see it because who doesn't love Coco? Come on.
Jaime cut.
Yeah, I want to see it. So come on, get your guitar out. Do it for Miguel. Also, another movie that's, you know, you could watch right now is Old Yeller. It's about a dog that gets a virus, and then they have to take him out back. And I'm not going to finish. But seriously, I was looking through the catalog today. I was like, Old Yeller, really? Right now? Okay.
A doggy snuff film? What?
He gets a virus.
That was a Friends and Phoebe. What kind of film is that? A doggy snuff film? Anyway, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think that might be a little bit too real right now.
I know. That's why I was like, I can't believe they have this on here. Take it off.
Yep.
The Sandlot is back on. It momentarily was taken off for whatever reason, but it's back. Talk about a classic, man. That's so great. Just so many films that you can go back and watch. The Rocketeer. How great is The Rocketeer, guys?
I hear so many good things.
Yeah, it's great.
Brett, what's Big Business? Is that it?
Big Business. Big Business. I'm so happy, Vanessa, because, well, Craig.
Don't tell me the ending.
Wait.
No, Craig, I have a funny suspicion. Just out of spite or out of realness, that my feelings for Inside Out are going to be your feelings for Big Business.
Okay.
But please no tit for tat there. But I'm like going, but the other, Willow. I'm sorry.
Willow,
new topic.
yeah.
Have you watched Willow?
Wait, before you go there, Brett, I was going to put out a challenge.
Oh, here we go.
Big Business for Rocketeer. Can we do that?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
I'll watch it now.
Handshake.
I gotta go.
Handshake. Okay. It's there now. Social.
Oh my gosh! Is that yes? That is legal tender, isn't it?
All right. Sorry.
It's a new world.
Actually, you know what?
No, Willow.
I have a confession to make. I've never seen Willow.
Really?
Oh, good.
It has one of my favorite lines.
It's like a nerd dark spot for me. Willow, Dark Crystal, and what's the other one that I haven't seen? The Labyrinth. Haven't seen any of those three.
No, Willow. Willow was George Lucas was the producer, I believe, and he worked with somewhat new director Ron Howard on Willow, but it has one of my favorite lines the Val Kilmer line that's tempting, but no, you'll watch it and you'll die. It's my favorite line. I use that in my life so many times. Tempting, but no. Okay, you'll watch it and go, what? You know, it'll enjoy it.
One of the things that we kind of glossed over at the beginning, but a show that you really dug, and you're not necessarily into this guy as an actor, so but you were super into The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
I love that series. Yeah, it's just
who knew we needed him?
I'm already a documentary person. Like, I watch documentaries. That's just kind of what I get into. So for me to be able to see something so entertaining is him putting on, like, basically, for anybody who hasn't seen it, he picks a topic and then he dives into it, and he dives into what it means in our culture. But he just does it such humor. Like, he's great at it. He just brings such a life to it, and it's really interesting. I think it's fun. It's like a short amount of time. You learn something, and it's fun, and it's like right up my alley. So it was great.
Life lessons and therapy all at the same time. I mean, it was just amazing. It was amazing. Loved it so much. Ready for season 2.
Yes.
Already.
I am too.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be interesting to see how much is affected by all of this shutdown, because there might not be, I mean, there's obviously things that are in the can now, but like 6 months from now, are there going to be a lot, like, is there going to be like a content vacuum for a while, because a lot of places had to, I mean, all the production companies are shut down at the moment.
Well,
so
it would be like a writer's strike or anything like that. So they've had it in the past.
That's true.
And my guess is the Mandalorian has stuff in the can. If they don't have the second season, it would surprise me. Well, actually they have, because they're announcing some of the cast members now, so they must not have all of it or any of it, but it was just conjecture.
Now, we do know that the Marvel shows are coming out and that those have wrapped for the most part.
Cool.
So we know that Falcon and the Winter Soldier is wrapped. We know that WandaVision is wrapped. And I believe...
Oh, I can't wait for that.
WandaVision is going to be awesome. And then I believe Loki had just gone into production, is my understanding, because they were still, they were just announcing some casting news for Loki. So, but at least 2 of the shows we know that we'll be getting in the relatively near future. But this is really interesting. And again, I apologize for the tangent. I'm a Marvel fanboy. Black Widow has been shifted now because of this. It's no longer going to be coming out in May. So my question is, so much of the MCU is interconnected, and these Disney Plus shows, it has been said at D23 Expo that that it was all going to be connected within the larger Marvel universe. And so if something happens in Black Widow that establishes the next film or the next series, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it has an impact on that. Does everything have to shift at that point? Does, like, you know, like, you can't have if there's something crucial that happens in Black Widow that you have to see to understand a story point in a next show, you'd have to shift your entire schedule. So it'll be just really interesting to see the impact of all of this. And obviously that's like the most trivial of impacts, right? what it's doing to the film and television industry. It's obviously, there's a lot of people out there hurting and stuff like that. So we certainly don't want to take that lightly, but it's just an interesting thing. It'll be a different kind of world coming out of this thing. So it'll be interesting to see. Are you guys, anything else Disney, kind of to wrap this up, anything else Disney related that you're doing to kind of keep your time in as a stay at home a little bit more manageable? I am reading a book by Kevin Rafferty. And I'm super bad at reading, but it's really interesting. It basically goes through his entire Imagineering career. And what I did was, in preparation for our trip in April, I usually like to read something or do something that gets me excited about Disney. And of course, like, I'm always excited, but gets me more excited about it. And I knew that one of the rides I was really looking forward to riding was Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Well, Kevin Rafferty, it's kind of his last major attraction that he's going to Imagineer. because I believe he's either close to retirement or is going to retire very shortly. And so I was like, oh, well, this is perfect. So he has this book. It basically was just released. I think it was released in either January or February of this year. I can read that, go ride his ride. I'll feel really great about it. But yeah, so Kevin Rafferty's book, something of My Magical Life or something, I don't know the exact title, but it's right here. Magical Journey, my fantastical Walt Disney Imagineering career. So go check that out. That would be my recommendation. But what about you two? Are you doing anything else Disney related that just kind of keeps you a little bit more comforted in this time?
Well, I was thinking about this. And whereas I always like to plan a Disney vacation. Sometimes I really go, and sometimes it's just fun to think about it. But in a way, it was like knowing that the parks are there was a comfort for me. And since they're not open right now, it's left a little bit of a void. And actually, since I haven't watched a whole lot of Disney Plus in the past couple of months, I watched a little bit here and there, but now we have a little bit more time, so I'll be watching it again. But in a way, it was filling the void that the parks left, knowing that something that I love and cherish, my Disney experiences and my Disney films or whatever, knowing that it's there is a comfort for me. So it's nice that it's there, and I'm sure I'll be watching more of it. So it gives me comfort.
Yeah, things have been a little stressful, and content on Facebook, although there are wonderful people out there being very positive and sharing lots of positive, creative, and awesome things, there are those out there that are in a negative swirl, is what I like to call it, and can't seem to get themselves out. And then coupling that with the news, which is often a little bleak. I have found myself going to happier days, which is watching the ever so delightful Adam Hatton and Gary C. Trip videos of them going to Disney parks and Disney trips around the world. They're just delightful. They're happy. They're cheerful. Probably more than any other vlogger that I've watched. I just really enjoy their delightfulness and their joy. It's just like watching sheer joy, and that's really kept me happy throughout the days. It's just I'll just put it on in the background just to hear them laughing and giggling, and it makes me feel better during the day. Although I will say I am very worried about Gary C, since I feel like he's a slightly more fragile person, and I just want to go take care of him. But yeah, so if you need to take a little visit back to Disney, there are plenty of vloggers out there, and there's even, I haven't done it yet, but I've heard that there's this there are certain videos that you can put on your virtual reality headset if you have one, and it can feel like you're in the parks. So if you want a little trip away from the gloom, that's a good way to do it too.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many videos on YouTube that are ride throughs and all of that.
Yeah.
It's a way. Actually, it's and the other thing that brings me comfort, and it's actually something I collect, even way before our current times. Where the question I would have is what gets you into the Disney zone? And when you're in the parks, you're in the Disney zone, and I guess most of the time, but actually just listening to the music, sometimes there's recordings of the various attractions or parades or shows, and listening to that, it gets me into the Disney zone, and that can make it kind of it might start a creative process for me of doing something else creative, but I very much enjoyed the music. So that's out there, and of course so many YouTube videos of attractions, shows around the world. You can watch everything.
I was going to say, that's what I enjoy doing is watching the YouTube videos of places I haven't been. So like seeing Ratatouille in France and seeing different places and how they all do a different spin on the Haunted Mansion. It's just neat to see the different locations. It's been a fun little escape. A lot of vloggers too have done just a Sunday stroll or like a walkthrough, where they just start at the beginning and they just walk through the park like you're walking through, and that's been a nice little relax. I've done that before when I've been like sitting on my laptop and I just want something on in the background. It's a nice relaxing thing to have on, kind of like you were saying, Vanessa. So that's a good one. I've done those before. It's kind of a neat little deep dive.
The Diz, so like part of the Diz Unplugged guys, they have the Park Bench series as well, where they really just like sit down on a park bench somewhere on Main Street or in Epcot or whatever, and just let the ambiance and kind of the world move around them. And then those Saturday strolls or Sunday stroll videos as well that they do. And so many vloggers out there. And there's one other thing that you do, I think, on a daily basis. And I don't know if you know it, or that you do it or not.
Great.
Do you know what
No,
it is?
I don't. I do a lot of things on a daily basis.
You listen to Sorcerer Radio all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And Sorcerer Radio is another one of those that, like, because I hear it even like when you're, we're coworkers now. This is new. We've never worked together, and so I kind of, man, when Anna's in the zone at work, she's in the zone.
Yeah.
So,
you have to be.
But you have that Sorcerer Radio on even in here.
I do. I love listening to Sorcerer Radio. Again, just really like that background of that. It just brings me to a different place and a different mindset. So it's neat so I have to go there sometimes.
I don't know how to work Sorcerer Radio. I got it on my phone. I can't figure out what's happening.
Oh, it's great. So they have different channels now. So you can select, like, if you just want to listen to like backgrounds of the park, you can click on atmospheres. If you want to hear ride-throughs, you can click on like the first.
But that's it. That was atmosphere. Oh,
yes,
that's cool. I didn't know it did that. Okay, well, yay.
Yeah, it's something new. You'll love it. They have like seasons, so you can listen to Halloween music during the Halloween season, Christmas music during the season. And it's just a nice way to listen to it. And the funny thing is, I started listening to it probably a couple of years ago, and I didn't notice the background music when I listened to it on Sorcerer Radio. It just all sounded new to me. Then I went back to the park and I would pick up on that background music that I didn't used to pick up on because it's familiar now. So it's just a neat way to listen. So you have to check it out.
Can you do specific rides, or is it just like a radio
like a
station?
Streaming radio station.
Okay, you just get what you get. Okay, yeah. I'm such an old person when it comes to technology. I never know how to do anything.
Kind of cool because like you can like look at the schedule and they'll break it up into like on the main Sorcerer Radio channel, at least they'll break it up into like Epcot Hour or Magic Kingdom or Top 5. Main Street Electrical Parade is always like number 1 for whatever reason. People love that on there. But no, it's just really cool because you can kind of hear even like Wishes plays on there every now and then and stuff like that. So it's just a neat, definitely a neat way, something that I usually have on in the background at my office at work every now and then. And so it's something even after all this to definitely check out. So for sure. But any other final thoughts from anybody? You know, the Vanessa brings up a good point. The world is a bit bleak right now, but you know, we will all get through it together, and we've got a lot of really cool things heading our direction in the not too distant future. So just make sure you always keep a chin up, and that you are always continuing on, because we're gonna get through all this. It's a little crazy right now. It's something that we'll definitely look back on, but I think it'll make us stronger all together. So and you know, as a wonderful attraction always says, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow, right? So with all of that, thank you for checking us out, and we will see you all real soon. I'm really excited about our upcoming content. We do have the Pixar brackets, or not Pixar brackets, but the Pixar ranking show will be coming in the not too distant future. We've built that, so we're excited to be able to get all of that going for you. Sorry, and we will have lots more. We'll have Mulan when that comes out. We'll have others as well, and we'll be able to go from there. So for Beyond the Mouse, I am Craig.
I'm Vanessa.
I'm Brett.
I'm Anna.
And we will see you real soon in the front row.